Hey, what's up everybody? This is Eric, and I've been in Toronto for the last few weeks, and this is a video showing my little experiences that I've had. Well, here was my mother and I. We were in the bus traveling over to Toronto from Windsor, and yeah, basically when we got there, we had to walk over to the place where we were staying, and while we were walking, we saw this cool place called Eaton Centre. Also some painted walls and stuff. Also we saw a subway station there, so that was pretty cool, but we didn't go on it. Over here, because there's no earthquakes and stuff, there's a lot of architectural freedom, and people start building underground and up high and stuff, so it's really cool. So here's the room that we stayed in. I've only actually stayed in that room for one day because we were supposed to get 2 rooms, but we could only get the second room after a few days. So as you can see there, this is the 3rd floor of the place I was staying in, and had a really good view of the city. That was a nice skyline before, and this is a day skyline. It was really nice to see this from just the place that we were staying. After a couple days, we made our way over to Chinatown. Yeah, Chinatown, not China. And there wasn't really much to do except for checking out the Chinese signs and stuff, and of course there's a bunch of not supermarkets, there was markets and a bunch of food places, so we ate some dim sum and checked out the supermarket. Here's the Eaton Centre, the inside of it, and as you can tell it's absolutely gigantic. There's a bunch of shops, and here's, as you can tell, this is just the H&M, there's like 4 different floors. There's some sprinklers and a bunch of cups of coffee down in the courtyard, and I have no idea what's going on. Here we actually go into the subway, and this is really cool. There's some guy without a shirt on. But when I was here, I really enjoyed public transportation. There's also a hockey rink right next to the place I was staying, so I went and checked out a couple of games whenever there was one going on. There was an empty bus. It was kind of eerie for a while until somebody walked on. Oh yeah, so basically when I lived in Toronto, I lived there for 6 years, and apparently I've been to the CN Tower before, but I really don't remember, so this is actually well, not really my first time, but it feels like my first time. So I booked this thing called the Edge Walk, where you basically walk on the edge of the top of the CN Tower without any railings and stuff, and you're held only by the rope. And it was pretty cool. I wasn't really that scared of it, but a lot of the people around me, they were a bunch of old people. They thought it was scary on the bottom, but once they got up there, they thought it was really cool too, and they weren't that scared. Actually, the only thing that was pretty frightening was this pose right here this guy is doing, because you were sitting off the thing with your entire body off, and once you took your hands off, oh my goodness, it was pretty bad, but it wasn't that bad. Overall, it was pretty cool. You got to see the entire city, and you got to walk around the whole CN Tower, so it was really awesome. And the guy who was, well, I forgot his name, but he was really cool too, the guy who led us around. And the ticket that we used for Edgewalk served for a regular ticket, so right afterwards we went up the regular elevator up to the top of the CN Tower. Here was terribly focused video. But after going on the Edgewalk, this was all kind of boring for me because I saw it without the obstruction of windows. But you can see other things, like here's a glass floor. That was really awesome. You see a bunch of kids are standing or sitting on the glass floor, while there's a bunch of adults that you couldn't see that were scared as hell. And a couple days later, I went to the aquarium right next to CN Tower. Seems like I went right afterwards because of the magic of video editing, but actually I waited a couple days. And this place was pretty nice. You got to see some crabs and some fishies and some lobsters and some more fishies and stuff. And I guess it was nice to walk around and check this out, but I got kind of bored sometimes because there was no thrill in it because you were always keeping your distance and stuff. And here's the Dangerous Lagoon, where there's a bunch of sharks. And this place is actually advertised for having a bunch of sharks and stuff, but what I thought was really cool was actually the jellies, which you'll see in a little bit. There's a bunch of manta rays and stuff too, and that was really awesome. some more fishies and some manta rays, and there's actually a bunch of manta rays actually. And here's the whole place. As you see, we're on an underground tunnel made of glass. Here's some horseshoe crabs which you can feel and stuff. And there's some more fishies, and here's some seahorses. But the jellyfish place was really cool because you were under fluorescent light, so you could see the jellies a lot better. And here's a really cool shark. They were just swimming around in circles there. And here you can see the jellies, and I really enjoyed this place because the whole place was lighted in this light, and it was really an awesome experience. And here's some spotted jellies, or some upside down jellies. Here's all the water filtration and stuff. There's some bones, and here's the main area, place where everyone is at. And you can see the little tube there. You might have this building that was labeled Tim Hortons, but it's like a little business building or whatever, and there was a moose with a bunch of flags on it. And one day I went over to the Eaton Center, and then there was this festival going on. I had no idea what's going on. I still have no idea what's going on, because apparently it was labeled as some healthy food festival or whatever. But there was just a bunch of stands selling greasy food, and there was a bunch of people for gay rights and stuff. And then there was a bunch of people preaching for God or stuff. And then here we go to the Tim Hortons one day, and I actually remember Timbits despite not being in this place for God knows how long. And these were just basically donut holes, but they were really, really nice. They were really nice tasting, and yeah. And then this is pretty much near the end of my trip, and then we decided to go to the Toronto Islands. And then here we made our way to Yonge Street, right on the side of the lake. And that was really cool because Yonge Street is actually the longest street in the world. And then there we were at 0 Yonge Street technically, and they had this little dedication showing how far it stretched, and then it stretched out to like 2,000 kilometers. And we're getting on the ferry to the Toronto Islands, and the guy, my leader guy, I think his name was Justin actually, he told me that this was like the world's shortest ferry or whatever at like a minute and a half, but I thought it was actually a lot longer than that. And it was really nice. You got to see the city line and stuff, and it was really chill at the middle of Lake Ontario. So we get off, and the Toronto Islands was just basically this gigantic park. There's actually also an airport right in the bottom of it, but people only use that for like small airplanes and stuff. And we managed to wander our way into like this place called Centerville, which is basically a little mini amusement park in the middle of the park. And I didn't go on any rides because it was all little kiddie stuff, but some of these rides were actually pretty cool, I thought. I like this one. I thought this ride was really neat because you got to drive for yourself. There was a bunch of spinning bears, and there was like a Ferris wheel and stuff. But we kept on wandering around, and there was a bunch of flora that you could see, and there's a bunch of, as you can see, a fountain, and then there's a bunch of produce. There's a guy with a old school Raptors Bosch jersey. And here's a beach. Actually, I was looking around for this place where it was basically a nude beach. They called it a clothing optional beach, and I thought that was pretty cool because I've never been to a nude beach before. Obviously, I probably wasn't allowed to take videos if I got there, but I couldn't find it, so whatever, I just left eventually. And then there was some people doing dragon boat, and they had the worst form I've ever seen. I thought they were just like kind of chill and relaxing when I first saw it, but then I heard them actually counting numbers, screaming really loud and stuff, and turns out they were actually trying. And I went back to Eaton Center just today, and it was these street performer dancer dudes again. I thought they were really, really, really awesome. Here's them, they're doing their duet thing, and then this guy goes again. Yeah. I showed you this guy before in the earlier part of the video, but he had some pretty cool moves. They didn't really do that many really flares and other power moves and stuff, but it was still pretty entertaining because breakdancing is not all just power moves, Eric. Oh, that's about it. Thanks guys. See you later.